May I have your attention, please?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I don't know what to feel anymore.
Horror. Something even more terrible than you.
Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollow Weekly. Nick and Trevor here with kind of a weird pairing that just happened to fit together in a very strange way. So we have two bits of media for you today. We have an original short film you can watch on Shudder right now called The Runner.
Yes.
And then we didn't mean to pair it. This was pure coincidence.
Yeah.
Trevor came over with the intent to watch this short film called The Runner on Shudder, do a little episode about it, and when you came over, I was like, "Did you watch this video essay I watched?" Because there's an old video essay YouTube channel called Every Frame of Painting. They haven't done anything in 6 years because the guy got a job at Criterion doing God knows what. Because I'll tell you what, Criterion, if you're listening, if you take that guy, you have to release good shit with him. Like, I think his last name is Ja. I think I can't remember off the top of my head. But Every Frame of Painting, these were immaculate. These were some of the best cinematic essays you could ever find.
Yeah.
He did one on Fincher, I think that was the VFX one, right? That where they do the breakdown, or maybe that's Kaptainkristian.
Yeah, Fincher did the editing one, which was. Did you watch the editing one?
I watched all of them.
Because the editing one is great because he breaks down like Fincher's editing, but then he takes a scene and breaks it down the scene in this office 1 and 7 with the 4 characters or whatever, and like every shot is like, oh, this guy's out of the scene because of this. Now he's back in this shot because of this. Like throughout the like, you see like the power dynamic switch within the editing, and you don't even notice it. But like seeing him do that is like, fuck.
So, but that's the style.
Yeah.
But that is the kind of thing that he would point out. And when you tell someone about that, you're like, oh, that's really cool. But like maybe it sounds a little boring. Like to get it to nerd up about editing. But the way that he went about it was so interesting that it captured your attention. I mean, I think he's sitting on a YouTube channel with like 6.5 million subscribers. That's just vacant. Yeah. Like Criterion must have gave him a vault of money like that. There's no reason. I think he also had one about Hitchcock and blocking.
Yeah, that
was fantastic. Takes a scene from, I believe, Vertigo, beginning of Vertigo, and knocks that out. And then one of my favorite Every Frame of Painting ones was the Jackie Chan one.
I love the Jackie Chan one.
He starts every fight from the ground and works his way up.
Yep.
And it's just like, when you hear about news that The Rock can't lose a fight, or can't get, if he gets hit, Vin Diesel has to get his many times. Yeah. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
But you watch the Jackie Chan one, you're like, man, that's a real artist.
Yes.
Who's trying to put something interesting that visually gives you something to rile for, because you don't want to see your heroes get hurt.
Yeah. That's a good one too for editing as well, because he kind of, if I remember it correctly, he'll say it's like, oh, you'll see the punch, but then you'll see it again from a different angle. And like when you watch, that sounds weird to say it, but when you edit it like that, it looks normal because that's what you're used to in movies. So the editing of the Jackie Chan action is also like, he's always talking about the editing, and the editing stuff is like always just like, you can't not learn something and be like, okay, cool.
So we cannot recommend watching this guy's. You can get through all of his YouTube stuff in like a day and like walk away with like a really like sturdy film knowledge. And the last one he did that I really liked was, and it's funny because he did this before Endgame came out, but it was about how unmemorable the Avengers theme was.
Yeah.
But now that Endgame's out, I think everyone knows that. Bah, 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 bah.
I remember that being the last video, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because I remember him saying that, but then like a bunch of people commented. I was like, well, I know that one. That one. And then all of a sudden he was like, nah, I'm going to stop doing them. I was like, is it because you just got some flack? I hope it wasn't just because of that.
But like also like he couldn't have guessed that Endgame and Infinity War were going to come out and like, really make it. And then, Avengers Land at Disney, Disney World.
If you're going off of the first couple of Avengers, then you're just like, yeah, that's, yeah.
It makes I couldn't tell you what Captain America's name.
Yeah.
So that's Every Frame of Painting. Now enter Kaptainkristian.
Yes.
He's still around. It looked like he took some time off, but now he's recently been back.
Mm.
He does these video essays that a couple years ago I used to watch like on repeat. I absolutely loved him. He did one on Adult Swim. He did one on the original Godzilla, which is fantastic. He does his own Fincher one, which I think, if I remember correctly, I think that's the one where he talks about Fincher's use of VFX and how there's more VFX shots in The Social Network than there is the Godzilla 2014.
Yeah, okay.
Which blows your mind because you're like, huh? How that happened? I believe that's that one. I could be mixing him up with another Every Frame a Painting. The thing I'm getting at is they're very similar. They have very different styles, but the way that they grab your attention is hands down next level. And the transitions that they use that I want to talk about here in a little bit are great.
I think they're good for like if you're feeling a little burnt out on like films or making films or watching films. I think these kind of help you kind of like reinvigorate yourself. Be like, cool. It gives me something to like kind of like, okay, that I understand something now.
That's what Every Frame's video on the Coen brothers did for me.
Yeah.
Listening to Roger Deakins talk about how when he shoots a conversation, it's like inside the character's space.
Yes.
Usually on some kind of 50mm lens, you know. There's something like that. So Kaptainkristian came out with a video last night. I actually went to watch Every Frame a Painting, but then I was like, I haven't looked up Kaptainkristian in a while. And to be honest, I hadn't looked up in a while because I had this video client that I was working for who I showed him Kaptainkristian's videos, and I was like, I think we should do something like that because we were talking about the costume designs of Francis Ford Coppola films, and they told me like go full Kaptainkristian, and which is really hard to like. I think one of my specialties as a video editor is like I can steal other like how other people come about it. Like I can watch a video, see what they're doing, and then steal it. And then there's no such thing as really steal like an artist. It goes through your filter. Bob, we can get into that later. But I think that's one of my superpowers. So I spent a lot of time rotoscoping the dress, which I shouldn't have done that. There's other ways to do it. Like years later, it hit me how I could. I changed the color of the dress at the end of The Godfather, and they were like, "Remember how her dress was this? Actually, it was that." And like I went frame by frame and rotoscoped it, which in reality I could have just like done a mask and color select. Like I could have taken like 2 seconds, but I was an idiot. And then we got into an argument whether Kaptainkristian was slow paced or well paced, which you figure that one out. What the difference between well paced and slow paced is. And so I didn't look, and so I couldn't bear to like look at his videos anymore because it wasn't anything against him. It wasn't. I love him. If you ever listen, like I'm gonna reach out to this guy to have him on the show. I love him to death, but I just couldn't do it. So last night I looked, and he uploaded a video, and horror fans, I mean, you're just gonna love this. It's called The Melancholic Comfort of Late 90s Horror, and we ended up watching it before. We were just going to watch the short film, The Runner. But then I was like, it's 20 minutes. You said throw it up there. Do you want to start with this Melancholic?
Yeah, we should. Because that's how we watched them. So yeah, we should kind of like... So
this video, it's 20 minutes, 47 seconds. He actually, below that one, I need to check this one out. I see it in the thumbnail of the Japanese film House, which I've never seen, but I've heard it's very crazy. The Melancholic Comfort of Late 90s Horror. As your first Kaptainkristian video, what did you think? What did you think of that? Because I did a lot of comparing to Every Frame a Painting. Do you believe he matches that level of capturing the interest and talking about such a weird subject matter in a genre?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he. Oops, no one. TikTok. I don't need TikTok right now, I guess. Yeah, it seemed more like almost like a personal essay, more than anything else. Which I don't know what else he does, but like I liked it and I enjoyed it. Like it made a lot of sense to me as well, and you could learn a lot just like from every shot of painting.
Every frame of painting.
Every frame of painting.
And I think you're thinking of One Perfect Shot.
One Perfect Shot. Shit!
Which is another one.
God, yeah. Film nerds unite. We've
got
so much content.
I can watch it 24/7. I really, really dig it.
But yeah, it felt more like a personal essay using the 90s horror movies as like the theme or as the subject, which I connected to too, because I feel like this guy is probably the same age as we are.
I could feel that, yeah.
Because I grew up in the 90s as well with the Y2K, and they talked about Y2K and all this stuff, and it's like it felt very like kind of personal to me as well. I'm like, yeah, I get this, more so than like watching the one shot of Spielberg. That's more of a technical,
right?
So,
did Y2K scare you?
I don't remember. It didn't scare me. No,
Okay.
I was like trying to think back of like while I was watching the video. I was trying to think back, like what was I doing during Y2K? And I remember my friend was working. He had a job working like at some medical supply company, I think, and he was like doing like computer stuff, and he was like updating the computers so they don't crash or whatever. I remember him working, like we were like roommates, and I remember him working on that. But other than that, like I don't think it really scared anybody because I didn't have anything. I didn't have credit cards. I didn't have.
Right.
I had maybe a bank account, I think, but like, I mean, I could have been between jobs at that point too. So like, what would I have cared? You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
well, yeah. I think I was too young to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But I saw a TikTok recently about I don't know if there's a documentary or a YouTube short documentary or something like that, but it was about a bunch of coders who were the reason it was prevented.
Yeah.
So like, what's funny is everyone's like, nothing happened, and these guys like work their asses off, and they're like, yeah, of course, you fucking pricks. We busted our ass. And it's so funny to hear that, like, 23 years later, because these guys are just now screaming about all the work they had to do.
Exactly.
which is kind of funny. So in this video essay, there's pretty much 4 films he keeps hitting on and 1 video game. The films being, or the video game being, I think that was Silent. Was that Silent Hill 2 or was that Silent Hill 1?
I think it might have been the first one.
It looked like the first one.
I think it was the first one.
Because I think 2 probably didn't come out until like 2000 something.
Yeah, that sounds right, yeah.
So he talks a lot about Silent Hill. He talks about is it Ringu?
Ringu, yeah.
Ringu, and then what's the name for the Japanese name for the? Was it just the Ring? The Japanese version.
Ringu. That's.
Oh no! And then the Grudge.
Oh,
The Grudge.
I think it was just the Grudge.
Okay,
I believe.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep getting those confused. I even got confused with them a lot back in the 2000s.
Oh yeah, because they all like they all came out at the same time.
Yeah, they're always paired together. they're always paired together. And then he also talks a lot about the Blair Witch Project.
Yes.
Which those and then the anime film, which I haven't seen, which they're showing at the New Bev I think it's like this week or next week. It's sold out. I didn't know what it was, but apparently it's a horror film. It's Paprika, is that correct?
I think it's like a sci-fi horror.
Sci-fi horror, okay.
It's always compared to Inception a lot.
Oh, interesting.
But I haven't seen Paprika. I saw it back in the day, but I couldn't tell you what.
There's another anime horror film that I wanted to see. It's called Blue Rain or something like that people really it's an anthology, I believe, that a lot of people give a lot of props to. But yeah, it was a really interesting.
Well, to be honest, he doesn't mention any of them. He doesn't mention a name, I don't think, at all. Because waiting for him to like talk specifically about him, and he never does like mention.
You're right.
He just shows.
I don't think he ever says the names.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
this guy's good. this guy's. And for the people listening, you have to understand there's about 3 or 4 transitions he does in this one. That if you're a video editor or love any kind of video editing, like you got to watch it just for the technical skills that he's doing. Yeah. Just from this thought that he had about the melancholic feeling of late 90s horror. Did you feel that way in the late 90s with horror? He kind of talks about this really interesting phase that we haven't really talked a lot about before on the show, but there is this mid-90s slump of horror. Obviously, it's not to say everything sucked. Like, there's a lot of gems you could find in those years.
Some of the ones that he kind of like threw shade at, I was kind of like, I like those movies. But
yeah, because
I feel him too. At the time, I would have been like, fuck that. Like Leprechaun, he throws that. I was like, now I just watched the first one again. And I got shout out to Voodoo for like giving me the entire collection of Leprechaun for $10, so I had to get it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I started watching those, and like they're fun. Like back in the day, I would have been like, "Oh, this is trash."
Right.
But now I can kind of appreciate some of it. But
yeah, it's like that. One of the later Candyman films,
yeah,
and then one of the later Fridays, and he does a really cool shot when he talks about how they're all bland, and each film had like someone getting thrown out of a window. Yeah. The villain with flames in front of their face, and then like this almost very similar fonts for their ending. So he backs it up with like there is a sameness happening where you could feel just this overwhelming sense of bland.
Yeah, I could feel that too. Because I mean, it's one of those things where it's like when I was watching it as well. I'm like, you might be able to do that for every person who grew up a certain time period. Because I grew up in the '90s, so it's like '90s angst. Like he mentioned being angsty, and that's the whole like vibe of the '90s. I was like, I grew up during that time, and I was angsty and angry, and I was like, fuck this, fuck that, and like he grew up in a small town like he did. So I kind of related to all that stuff, and so I can see all like the kind of like the depressing and like kind of like the self-doom type of stuff that he was talking about.
Yeah, and it's
which I appreciate, because it was like, that was me. I still like when I see that type of stuff, it's like, it's still kind of my vibe underneath type of thing. It's like, that's still me,
right?
Like he was saying, it's like what's been like. He always thinks it's like only like around the corner that was '90s, but it's been like 20 years now. Right. But it's always just like around, like it was only 10 years ago. That was.
Do you remember watching any of those movies like when they were coming out?
Oh, God, I remember them coming out, and they were like. Finding them was always like the gold mine. Finding like a Ringu or like The Grudge, stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't remember how I saw those. I couldn't tell you.
I'm really curious, like.
But you had to like go to like a specific like video store probably, or like buy it offline or something. Buy it from somewhere. Geez.
You had to really hunt for it.
Yeah, you really have to hunt for them. I remember we were in, I feel like it was in Columbus at the time. Working at Blockbuster maybe, when the Ringus and stuff like that were coming out.
Really?
I think I remember that. Then there was a couple horror places around that you'd have to like go find.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. I
think, if I'm remembering correctly.
Rewatching, I will say this: rewatching it, it's a video essay, so like, you're not really going in there thinking you're going to be scared, because you're just watching a guy talk about like the vibiness of certain media in the late '90s. Yeah. But man, he does a good job at making it very unsettling. Yeah. Like I forgot how scary the ending of the Blair Witch Project is.
Yes.
That always gives me chills. And he does a really cool thing. Okay, I want to hear you talk about this, because in the essay he talks about how we're watching at the end of the Blair Witch Project, we're watching from the POV of the 16mm camera.
Yes.
But we hear the woman who's holding the camera, but it sounds like she's so far away.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Because like, I mean, I didn't even know what was happening until I watched the essay, and I was like, oh my god, the way that they played with sound in that film. That is such a... Normally you think of cool camera tricks.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers in the 90s with no budget pulled out what I think... Like, I want to steal that. I want to make a horror movie, and I want to... I mean, granted, it's probably got to be found footage to pull it off, but I want to steal what they did with this microphone trick.
Yeah, what they did was like when... What's her name? Heather goes into the house. She's got a camera, but she doesn't have no sound. The guy who's already down in the basement, he's the sound guy. So what we're hearing is the basement picking up her in the house searching for him. So the sound is kind of off in the distance, but you know that she's right there because we're following her camera. And as she gets closer to like basically going down into the basement, she gets louder and louder and more clearer. So then when she gets to the bottom, it's like clear, and she just starts screaming, and you don't realize what's going on. Like I've never put that together until watching the video. I was like, oh shit!
It shook me to
but
my core.
There's such a because she's like, what he says, she's like, we're always running to our own doom, or like we're like destined to run towards our own doom, or something to that effect. Like we're always running towards death and destruction, because he talks about it being like very apocalyptic time period as well. So then she, like, as she's basically running towards her death, it's getting closer and closer, she's getting louder. It's like a weird like
it once you when you first watch it, it's just a scary scene. So it's a woman screaming.
It sounds weird.
It is weird. It's kind of getting louder. But when you for some reason, being able to place where the microphone and the sound guy
Yeah.
is with what's happening,
Yeah.
it rattled me, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
It really scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And I've never had. It's a really interesting a retroactive scare.
Yeah. Because just think about now, it's like, fuck, how's that work? And like just like hearing it and knowing she's like heading toward, like the closer she gets to that sound, the clearer she gets, the more she's closer to death.
Yeah, and like in horror movies, you usually think of like the scary monster like following you or chasing you or closing in on you.
Yeah.
But she's closing in on it.
Yes.
So it's like it just completely what it does. I think it just inverts everything we know about like how to take in a movie.
Yeah.
In that last final scene, so that's why it's so discombobulating.
Yeah.
And then it ends.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love that movie. I've always defended Blair Witch. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, there was in the old Facebook group, there used to be people in there who just didn't agree with it, and I'm like, on what merits
No way.
can you deduct from this movie?
Yeah.
You know, I was just I saw a TikTok of there's this guy. I have to look up his name because he does some of the best interviews ever. Like he does. There's one where he's interviewing Tarantino. He goes, I got the original 35 millimeter trailer for when it was supposed to just be one film. I never knew it was supposed to be one film.
What it was?
Kill Bill.
What?
Kill Bill. Yeah. And then they talk about the whole bloody affair and how he saw it at the New Bev. So maybe he's in the area. It'd be cool to have him on the show.
Yeah.
But oh god, where was I going with that? I had such a good point. Oh my god, that sucks. I got real excited about the so he asked Damien Chazelle, Whiplash, Babylon,
Yeah.
if you could be on any movie set like in history during like a big famous scene.
I think I saw it, but I turned it off because I didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, I forget what it was. It was a Damien.
Yeah.
You know, it was the kind of answer you'd expect from him.
No.
But I was thinking, if you could place yourself at any first time screening of a film,
Yeah.
what would it be? Because you actually a couple years ago, it's funny. I usually almost only ever read my books through audiobook.
Yeah.
But a couple years ago, I actually think I have it on the shelf. I think I got it on the main part. Best movie year ever.
1999. Yeah.
1999. And in the film, it's a really easy fun read. In fact, you can just kind of like pick what chapter you want to hop to because the chapters are all by movies that were released in 1999. So it's The Matrix, The Phantom Menace, Office Space, Blair Witch, just a bunch of movies. And the chapter on Blair Witch about that screening, I believe it was at Sundance.
Yeah.
Has to be one of the craziest experiences ever. And so I was curious, like,
because people thought it was real.
That's the other thing.
That's the best thing. Like they had it was the early days of like websites for movies, so they had like a legit like missing website, like missing Blair Witch website where it's like all these documents. They just like there's the whole thing about the mystery of Blair Witch, not of the movie.
And I'm a sucker for marketing like that.
Because at first I was like, it's like I was even like, what is going on? Is this real? It's a movie, right? But then this thing looks like I don't understand what's happening.
I was a big sucker for the Cloverfield marketing. So like if I was of like high school age when in 1999 when the movies come out, I would have fallen for it so hard. But they talk about that screening and it just sounds like a fucking madhouse.
Is that what the one Chazelle said?
No, his was what movie set you've been on, but I switched it to what movie screening would you go to for the first time.
Yeah.
I forget what his was. It wasn't like a real pretentious answer.
Yeah.
And the interviewer like throws out just like grand slam of great movie scenes, making it like infinitely harder for you to answer it. But like you could see it like when he asked the question, he's actually like kind of like, oh shit, like that's a good question. Like that's a real humdinger.
Yeah.
So he talks about in this video essay, he talks a lot about Blair Witch and a lot of Japanese horror. Like, I mean, going from Silent Hill, from Konami being a Japanese-made game to The Ring and The Grudge.
The Ring and The Grudge. You said there might have been a shot from Shudder.
I think so. Not the streaming, not the channel number. Shudder. It looked like it, but it could have also been from. I'm not.
Ringu. It could have been from.
I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
Certain. But did you ever play Silent Hill
2? I played Silent Hill 2.
Okay. Yeah,
I love Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 2 is.
It's still one of my favorites, I think.
I really like it. What made this video essay great, and I want to make sure I get this. I want to make sure I get this name right. Silent Hill music composer.
Oh yeah, it pops up. It's on. Let me see too.
He used a lot of music from. Okay, I used to botch this guy's name a lot. Akira Yamaoka. Is that
Yamaoka?
Yamaoka? I think. Did he mention him in his notes?
Yeah. It says music. It has a list of the tracks, I guess.
He uses a lot of that composer's music, and man, is there something like very beautiful, very haunting, very disorienting about his music.
Yeah.
And it's just very synthy and sad.
Yeah.
But man, is it covered? I mean, he paints the whole video in this music.
Well, it's funny too. Like, I remember that time too. There was another game called Sirens that me and my wife played all the time.
Oh, really?
And it's more of like a almost like just question, go search type of thing. Not like a survival horror like Silent Hill is, but it was like the same type of style of game and
like a survival horror
during the same time, but a little less like you can shoot things and stuff. It's more like a questions and kind of like finding clues and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
More of a murder mystery type of thing. And she played that for hours. But I think that has similar type of music. I feel like I can hear the discs.
It rings in your head, man.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where like when you hear it, it's not scary, and it's not trying to be scary.
Yeah.
But it gives you this slow drip of dread.
Yeah.
Where the longer it goes on, in fact, he has. I can only speak from Silent Hill 2.
Yes.
But like even like I can like even just leaning over, like I think this is Theme of Laura. Like, you remember that?
No.
But I remember learning that on guitar, and like I've never forgot. I mean, it's very easy; it's just a couple chords. But his music is just really good.
Yeah.
I really want to. I would like to do a deep dive and listen to. I've not played a lot of the other Silent Hills, but I would love to listen to some of the soundtracks.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really fun. Maybe they'll have them on vinyl somewhere, and I can start my douchey vinyl,
Yes.
my vinyl collection. I could go on and on about Kaptainkristian's video.
What's funny? Let me tie this in. Actually, it's funny. Tie into the next.
Yep.
The Runner as well. The whole foreboding and apocalyptic feelings within his video, they're in The Runner as well.
Yep.
I think, but they're also in like the last couple movies that we've actually done as well, which is also into The Runner as well. Like they've all been like these apocalyptic, like end of the world type of movies, but not with like the huge bang or anything. It's more just like this foreboding doom, much like he talks about in the Ringu and stuff like that. So it's just like, it's not just like this bombastic end of the world. It's just like this, more like this crawl, like slow, steady crawl towards like.
It's like if the world just instead of like a bang, it's just like it fizzles out.
Yeah, just like it's just like
slow.
I think it's kind of what life is. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you get older, shit stops working.
If we get like really into it, like that is life. It's just like if you think about it, it's like a lot of people don't think about it. I think, but some people think about it. It's all you can think about, and once you start thinking about it, that's basically kind of like it.
The ending's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, was there something else you were talking about? Like again, Schwarzenegger. Mm-hmm. Remember you were talking about his video?
Oh yes,
about him getting old. There was something else I was just watching or listening to about, like it was all about just getting old. What the fuck was that? That was something. It'll come to me.
I do recommend that Schwarzenegger. What's it called where the reporter just hangs out with a person for a couple days and then just does a
day in the life.
A day in life. Yeah, I think it was LA Times. They hung out with Arnold, and he was pissed off about getting older.
Yeah.
Still looks great though.
Yeah.
I think the guy lifts more weights than Arnold once, but Arnold's 75. He goes, I understand he's 75, but for the record, I lifted more than Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's like, I just gotta get up there.
I was watching Poker Face, and we're slowly kind of starting to catch up, and there's one about a stop motion animator played by Nick Nolte. And it's all about he talks a lot about getting old and this and that. I was like, I feel you, dude. I mean, I'm not Nick Nolte old, but so it's like, I feel it, dude. I feel it. But also just again, all about getting old and just foreboding doom
But you know
coming at you. And when you're like 18, 19,
I got everything.
you think that like all the time. You probably think, oh, it was going to end tomorrow. And I would probably think that now if I was growing up. If I was 18 now, I'd be like, this world's going to end anytime because somebody's going to get something's going to happen because shit's going down all the time. There's wars, there's craziness in the government. It's just like everything is just like
everything sucks.
And it's a bunch of fuel for being a 19-year-old like who doesn't give a shit.
Right.
Like perfect. But then like 10 years later you're like, oh, it's fine.
Well, I think the video ends so a lot of the video is a lot of doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And the experience he had growing up because he grew up in a ghost town, which is he has beautiful cinematography and of just this shitty town, which we don't know where it's at. We want to say Pennsylvania.
I'm calling it Pennsylvania, Kaptainkristian. If you listen to this, please confirm if it's Pennsylvania or not, because I know a lot about Pennsylvania as well, and I swear that's where that is.
Also, I think the real Silent or the
Hill.
quote the real Silent Hill.
I'm pretty sure you're coming from Pennsylvania, so I feel you.
But it has such a great optimistic ending. Mm-hmm. Almost kind of like one movie we just watched we didn't do a review on was The Big Night.
Oh yeah.
Stanley Tucci directed it alongside someone else. I highly recommend that movie. It was great. But the movie ends with things not going according to plan at all. Yeah. But it's also highly optimistic of this shot of like, well, we'll try again tomorrow. Yeah. And his video ends with that really beautiful quote of like, I hope everyone finds their Silent Hill. Yeah. And sort of, marches through it. Yeah. And to get through it. And there was that one line I loved where you try to orbit you try to slingshot yourself out of its orbit. But the only way you can do that is you kind of have to like lean into that to that energy. Yeah. And it's a really like meditative great ending. Yeah. And then he ends it with what I thought was going to be a jump scare. And because last night I watched it and it's like, he does a lot of the TV fuzzy. Yeah. And then you kind of see Samara. Yeah. I think it's Samara in the background. And I thought there was going to be a jump scare, and there wasn't. But then when we watched it today, one of my cats got into a fight and screamed at the end, and it scared the shit out of me. So
you're like, was that the video? What is that?
I was like, I didn't hear that last night. But I also like whenever like a static builds up, like a David Lynch style static, I get so like I immediately like start to mute it. Yeah. And I think I was trying to mute it, but like I was misclicking because I was so scared. So I was like, maybe I just muted it. Maybe I happened to mute it at the end, but no, it was a cat freaking out.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where it's like you kind of have to like. I mean, I can see where like those types of thoughts paralyze some people, and like you just like it's one of those things where you just have to kind of go, well, I mean, next day it's one day at a time. I hate to be a cliche, but it's like one day at a time. It's like, well, you can't do much about it.
No.
If I may get a little deep as well, Monday, let me get into it. Monday at work was a real shitty day for me, right? I'm not gonna get into anything, but it was just like shitty day. I felt like shit all day. Like, to be honest, I was really mean. Like, I was just like a shitty person all day. We even went to the arcade that night. And I was still kind of a dick.
Oh no!
And I was just like went to bed like a fucking angry asshole. And the next day, I was like, I kind of woke up the same way, but at some point, like it almost just got better. And for no reason whatsoever, I just felt a little better as I went. And like throughout the week, it's been getting better and better. And I'm not sure. It's almost like that type of feeling. It's like once you get past it,
right?
It's almost like I just like stopped giving a shit kind of on that Tuesday. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna fucking do what I need to do. I'm not gonna like hold a grudge or like for Tuesday. I'm gonna go into work and just whatever. If everybody acts like a dick, everybody's gonna act like a dick. And everybody was cool. I was cool. I was just like, I'm not even gonna like.
You like surrendered to whatever.
Yeah, it's almost like you surrender and you don't care anymore. Like not caring is like a really good way of just like kind of getting it, kind of calming down and be like, well, I'm just gonna say what I like. Not don't be a dick.
Right.
But it's like I'm just gonna do my work. Talk to people. Don't talk to people. If they don't talk to me, I don't care. It's not gonna bother me anymore. If they talk to me, I'll talk to them. Type of stuff. So.
Wow.
So I'm not sure where that came from, but it's almost the same thing. It's like you could hit that wall on Monday. It could have been a really bad wall,
right?
But then Tuesday it's like, well, fuck it. I gotta get through the day just until I figure out what's going on. And then my Tuesday, Wednesday, and today was a really good day. So.
I think I had my grouchy day like 2 days ago.
See?
I think
Yeah.
I'm similar. I think I'm coming
Yeah.
off of it.
Yeah.
Well, I filed
I
my
was-
taxes. So I think that's what
I mean, I was coming off getting sick over the weekend as well. So Monday, I don't think I was still 100%. I usually feel better when I'm sick because I don't have to do anything.
Right.
But
Well, that's better than my therapist texting me, "Hey, I tested positive for COVID."
yeah. So
But I'll let you guys know. Through I did not get it. I tested every day.
that's good.
Like, I'm all vaxxed up, and I was taking my vitamin D, but I was also the power of positivity. I was like, I told myself, I am not
I wasn't near her. I didn't.
gonna get it, Bill, because and I'm just gonna do a quick plug because Sunday, my fiance, who wrote Horror Hotel, which has Cursed Cruise coming out sometime next year, released her newest rom-com. Ellie is Cool Now, which is gonna do great things. Which I'm a sucker for the rom-coms. I want to do the Reiner thing. I want to do my Misery and then my Harry Met Sally. I want to boom boom that one.
What's about like high school, right? So it's like that's a horror
someone who
that's horrifying.
In LA, a writer who lives in LA who's like really cool now was a big dork in high school, big dork, and goes back as an assignment from her boss to go back to her high school reunion. But they have like a certain things that she has to do while she's there. Like one's like hook up with her crush, a bunch of cool stuff like that. And then there's a lot of drama between her and her high school friend. Yeah, it's a really good book, and fingers crossed I get the sequel there.
Biased.
I'm not biased at all. It's a great book. Listen, I did the audiobook of Horror Hotel and I loved it. Come at me. So what's weird about this is now let's hit up The Runner. There's not a lot to say about The Runner, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that. That sounds bad, but it is just kind of this thing that exists that you experience. There's a lot. I recommend watching Kaptainkristian's video than watching this. There are strange parallels. In this one, like this one looked like it was filmed in Appalachia. Too. It's basically, I think I would kind of describe it as just a long music video with several songs from, I believe, the band's Boy Harsher.
The band's Boy Harsher, and the album's called The Runner soundtrack.
But so it makes sense. So we literally just finished watching both of these and we're recording now. And I wanted to ask you off the top, what do you think made Shudder want to put this on their platform? Because it's not really, it's got some like scary imagery in it with this thing that is kind of like the embodiment of one's evil, one's own evil. I
think the singer explains it like she's just like a monster, but she's also got a human side. Which
also plays the Kaptainkristian. You guys, it's almost like we're in Silent Hill. The fact that like these two things connected, it's the weirdest thing. So what do you think made Shudder decide like, ooh, let's put this on there?
I think it's got like a lot of style that people are doing today, like a lot of the synthy scores,
a lot of 80s-esque.
Yeah, because the Boy Harsher is like a real synth heavy group, almost like it sounds like it could be John Carpenter if you weren't paying attention.
When the short begins, it's only 40 minutes long. It's a really easy watch. There's a band playing. It's intercut with this woman running through the woods covered in blood with this band playing. The woman running in the woods looks like I think is in the 80s, but the band is modern day. But synthy, Carpenter. I got a little bit of like Nine Inch Nails ish kind of vibe, mainly because there's a guy wearing a leather mask banging the drum. It has a very synthy industrial feel.
Yeah, it feels like industrial Nine Inch Nails Ministry type of thing. Yeah, I think it's just like the vibe of the station and the channel.
Yeah.
So it's got like enough gory stuff, cool shots. Like said, looks like it's shot in the 80s. I think we saw that it was shot actually on film, probably 16.
Yeah, Kodak. I was gonna ask because it's not like a really pretty image.
No.
But it's not ugly.
No. Yeah.
It's there's a lot of grain in there, and it's so much grain it almost kind of looked like they shot on like DV or like one of those like crappy cameras with a terrible ISO or something that. You know what I mean? But it was Kodak.
Well, because it kind of matches up with Kaptainkristian, because his looked more VHS.
Right.
He had everything looking like a VHS tape.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think because I saw a lot of comparisons to like the Panos Cosmatos stuff, Mandy and
Ooh, what's that?
Beyond the Black Rainbow. Mandy and
Beyond the Black Rainbow is
Yes.
showing at the American Cinematic.
Oh, is it?
How do you say it? They paired it up with. Oh God, it was another. It was that and then a home run film. I'll have to look it up. I really like the idea of Shudder putting. I don't know how many short films they have on there. I've never really.
Yeah, we had to go looking for it too. It wasn't.
It's a cool and I like the idea of Shudder of a platform as big as Shudder giving short films.
I think they always have short films. I just always avoid them because I'm like,
I never see anyone talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
them. I never seen anyone.
None of them look very interesting.
No, a lot of good short films you can usually find on I usually find on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't looked up horror short films in like a couple of years, but I remember like that was the place to go.
Now, if they're longer than 10 minutes, I'm always like,
Yeah, it's
for me. I'm always like, I mean, this was 40 minutes, but it was all I knew it was gonna be like more of like a music video.
Yeah,
and I like the music a lot, so it's just gonna be more like just like.
It's definitely an easy watch. You put it on just for like the music in the background. It's basically just a song with a small vignette of something happening with this evil demon woman thing.
Yeah. The runner.
But then it does a lot of these like really meta cuts that Kaptainkristian did. So like there's one of the vignettes ends and there's this like long stringy synth kind of sound, and it just they hold that note. And then it cuts to the band that you saw earlier, and then it introduces the guy, and it's like musician for the album, The Runner.
Yes.
And then he takes his finger off the keyboard, and the music ends, and you realize like that's his music.
Yes, yeah.
And he goes, "I really love this synth," and it's like a really cool. I thought that was such a fun cut. And then he goes into all of his other synths, and then it cuts into like the next part of the short.
Yeah.
But it did a lot of like, for a 40-minute short that doesn't have a lot of story. I mean, it kind of gave me I don't want to say like David Lynch style vibes, but it kind of did in the sense of like it doesn't explain anything to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to. It just wants you to kind of experience it and kind of take what you want away from it, which I'm always a fan of.
Yeah.
There's plenty to chew.
Yes. Yeah, as I was watching it too, I'm always like if it was done by somebody else less competent, there'd be a lot more dialogue,
right?
I think, and there was no dialogue except for the band in between, and like there's like this weird cable access show that the host keeps talking as well.
Yeah, and she calls every time she murders someone.
Yeah.
She calls, and this guy is just like comforting her, like that's all right, come home.
But yeah, she doesn't talk, and like she doesn't really have any interactions with anybody except just like eye contact and some
when she Shang songs that woman in her trailer.
Yes.
Your soul is mine. Which was rad as hell. I really like that.
But yeah, it's just like you don't need the dialogue because the image and the music is just selling it. So it's like,
it's kind of, so the way I was thinking about it, it just hit me, it was sort of like, imagine David Lynch Light shot by Nicholas Refn.
Yeah. Because
it's very neon-y, dark synth. I mean, it's not really neon-y. It's very Appalachia, like kind of dirty. But it has like that dark synth that he's kind of known for, like Drive or Too Old to Die Young.
Yeah.
It's just a really interesting short film. I did not
with like second unit by like David Cronenberg or like art directing by Cronenberg, because they have like the TVs showing the band and showing these accessors, and it's like nude television.
Yeah.
But it's like the cable access. And it seems exactly like Channel 83 from Videodrome. It's like the same exact like type of. They're totally just like doing the same thing.
And there's some like really like dreamy-esque shots in the short. Like one in particular is whenever the dark side lashes out, it cuts to like a completely different look. Like it's like the demon evil woman is lit like with like one front light and completely dark background, so it's just her. But then she has these like milky contacts and like razor sharp teeth, and then it cuts back to like reality, and it's it's just like this flash of like, what the hell was that? And unsettling. But then the second shot that I thought I really dug and wanted to see if you had any sort of feelings about it was when she pulls up to the woman's trailer. She meets this woman. The evil woman goes into a bar. She's flirting with this guy playing pool. This woman is kind of jealous.
Yeah.
And then the demon one ends up leaving with this woman. They go back to her place where she eventually gets shang-tsunged, which is
Her
a new
soul is mine.
Her soul is mine. But the shot of the truck pulling up to the trailer, it kind of, what's it called when like you do that weird thing to the lens and it makes everything look miniature?
Oh, I don't know.
But didn't it give you this like weird like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm like kind of dreaming
Yeah.
look?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that's called. I'm sure it's
There's a
something.
name for it. There's actually an app where you can like.
Is it
point
just
things
called
at-
toy camera or something?
Yeah, it's like something.
miniature?
Yeah, it's something like that. But it kind of it wasn't that, but it felt like it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is weird, but I really dig it. Like it's totally going hand in hand with what we're
Yeah.
listening to and what we're seeing.
Well, that's like what I was telling you too. Like the band went to film school
Oh, that's right. That's
and
right.
met in film school, so they were like kind of like doing this type of stuff anyway to begin with. So it makes sense that like it's like, yeah, they'd make a movie about their music and they would make it themselves, and why would you not?
Yeah, why would you? It made me realize when we were watching it that there's, obviously, there's not a lot of music videos. Like, I mean, there is, but there's not like an MTV or a place where like you go to watch it. Like, you have to really be a fan of an artist to make when they release something new, you're there. But it reminded me of like back in the early 2000s, during those years. Or maybe this was like a little later, like maybe like 2003. But still, that would have been that's close enough. Close enough. One of my favorite bands back in the day was CKY. Do you remember them?
Yes.
They were in like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and like in the Jackass films and stuff like that. But I fucking like Darren Miller. Like
because they did like a movie, didn't they?
They did. They ended up doing a movie, or they did like a video album.
Yeah.
Their Jess Margera's brother was Bam Margera, the skateboarder. He ended up doing a movie called with all of his friends. Oh my God, Haggard.
I remember that.
I
never saw it but I remember everybody pushing it on me hard.
You,
and I was always just like, yeah, I'll watch it later.
You gotta love the CKY like Jackass stuff, and you have to be.
All of that was like pushed. I was like, yeah, we'll get to it.
It has. I rewatched the trailer for it maybe like a year ago, and I was like, woof, woof. It's
I mean, Jackass, I fully endorse, sure, but like anything else.
I loved it at the time.
Jackass is great. Well, yeah, it's at the time.
At the time, it was like it did nothing better.
I was just like a little older.
Yes,
so it's one of those things where it was like
you weren't in that skateboarding phase with
no,
your friends. Yeah. You just was smart. But
I like seeing people get hit in the nuts. Sure,
that's always a timeless classic. But CKY, I remember they had like a video album for I think it was their Infiltrate, Destroy, Rebuild album idea. I think that was what it was. Their second album. But it was the same thing. They did a music video for every song, and one of them was actually claymation. It was really cool. Inhuman Creation Station, I think was the name of the song. Nice. But like, I used to love it. I even got the Darren Miller, their old lead guitarist, who wrote like all the sick riffs, like 96 Quite Better. Like he did all that shit, Flesh into Gear. He was in Bravo's Top 100 Scariest Horror Movie Moments to talk about Black Christmas because that was one of his favorite. Yeah, but they spelled his name wrong.
Oh.
And I remember they used to have a place where you could ask them questions on their website, and they answered two of mine, and I remember that was that was better. But it reminded me of that DVD, and I got to me thinking like every artist should just do that for an album now.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't be mad at that. Like,
that'd be cool.
I mean, I know that obviously that brings on quite a bit of cost,
Sure.
cost to do it, but like. Right now, the music industry is kind of in this weird phase where, like, if you're an artist, you're uploading to Spotify. If you're uploading to Spotify, you're not getting paid shit.
Yeah.
And you don't get paid shit touring unless you sell a lot of merchandise. That's where all your money comes in, because otherwise you split out the cost with the agents, managers, touring, the cost of touring, the venues. So to me, that seems to be like make a fucking movie out of your like. I mean, obviously you could. Probably find a way to add more of a narrative into it of some sort, but like I wouldn't be mad at it.
Well, it's like, I mean, bring up Lemonade by Beyonce.
Oh my gosh,
that was one.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the Disney Plus stuff, a lot of when they have the documentaries, I think that like the Olivia Rodrigo is also kind of like that.
Oh really?
I didn't watch it, so I'm not sure. But I think it's almost like the same thing.
They did the same thing for I think a live concert for Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
And that was directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah. See.
And if you're listening to this, you know who the hell he is.
Yeah.
You know. So I think I would be in favor for instead maybe skip don't. I want to rephrase that right. Don't skip the music video. Do the music video, but do it for everything and make it a movie.
Yeah. I think they've broken up the short into like pieces now.
Yeah.
And they might be even because I don't even know if they play the whole songs during the entire movie.
No.
So there might be even longer clips from some of those shots. Some of those.
Yeah, and the way it intercuts throughout each song is just. I mean, you pair Kaptainkristian's video with this short, and you're in for a weird, emotional, dark, good music.
Yes.
All around.
Yeah, both.
On both of them. Wild ride. It's the honest thing. It's just the fact that we stumbled upon these two things that were so similar that created like an entire vibe for the evening.
It feels like a very angsty double feature.
But that you can get in all in 60 minutes.
Yep.
If that doesn't sell you,
it's plenty.
Yes, it's plenty.
It's plenty because it's like right now it's like, let's watch some cat videos or something.
Yeah, and then afterwards, you filter it in with those and make it a thing.
Oh, Sturgill Simpson did kind of like a video album a while back too with his Sound and Fury album.
Really?
I think it's on Netflix because he had a bunch of like Japanese anime for all of his songs.
Sweet.
So I think you can get that on Netflix still, and I think he's got a graphic novel that goes along with it.
That's awesome.
But Sturgill Simpson, he does like country music, but he did this like kind of like 70s rock album as well.
Oh, I need to check that out.
With all of this Japanese anime stuff. So that's also one that you should probably check out because it's just like it might be like a half hour, maybe 4 minutes.
So here on Hollywood Weekly, we're known for making great predictions. All right, we made the Great Witch prediction.
Yeah.
Before all the Great Witch movies came out. We did shit the bed on werewolves. There wasn't a lot of great werewolves movies, so I'll own up to that one. Yeah. So I'm going to say this now. It looks like the thing that I was hoping more artists do. It looks like it's already a thing.
Yeah.
But it's not very mainstream. I'm going to predict that it becomes more mainstream in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Because something's got to change in the music industry. Why not bring in the film industry that's notoriously as bad?
Yeah, exactly.
A negative plus a negative.
Yeah.
Hopefully makes a positive. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. It's been like I feel like it's probably been done more often, but like I just can't think of it.
But it also feels like a great thing. It feels like a no-brainer for an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're an artist and you make music, you're an artist, make film.
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah. Throw a couple grand at somebody and just be like, hey, let's make.
Like seriously, like imagine if you make Carpenter-esque music.
Yeah.
And then you just pair it with Carpenter-esque visuals.
Yeah. Well,
40 minutes.
That's the funny thing. He was talking about like finding his little like keyboard. He's like, yeah, you can just do meh for a while. I just hold it and say, what do you say? Like
it makes the whole song.
Cut it off, and for a while, it's like it's the whole song right there, man.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't care if anybody listens to it. That's calming to me.
I think I need to watch. Didn't Carpenter direct a Christine music video a couple years ago?
I don't know if he directed it, but I think he's in it.
He was
it's
part
for
of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine if they just did that for 40 minutes. You don't need the whole. You don't need the whole. You don't need the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's bring back that medium length horror.
Yeah.
Get experimental. Get weird.
Like Thriller. I mean, Thriller was like a 20 minutes.
I know. That's they had goddamn Rick Baker. They had Mick Garris's ass dancing in the background.
Yeah,
in the background.
Watching the making of was just as cool as watching the actual thing back in the day. I remember that.
All right, so let's make the prediction now that we're gonna get a lot of horror music-esque.
Yeah.
What do you call it? I mean, it's not a music video. If it's short film, I guess.
Short form.
I like short form because short film sounds like a jack off fest. Nobody wants to watch a short film.
Yeah.
But like no one. But like I might watch a music video. Short form is the perfect middle.
Short form, and like I think the Kaptainkristian was more of a personal essay than like a film essay, but still got a lot of good film stuff in it as well.
Right.
I liked it a lot. Yeah.
It was a great double feature.
Yeah.
It was a great double feature.
And if you're horror bands out there who want to do short form music videos, get at us.
Yeah, let us know. HallowWeeklyPod@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram. Shoot us a message. I would love to connect with some more musicians and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I think we really, there's a lot of them out here in LA.
Yeah. Yes. A lot
And
of-
Kaptainkristian apparently. We're looking
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it. We're gonna we're on the look for you suckers.
We saw you on Twitter.
We saw you on Twitter.
Oh, we got you.
We'll sniff you out.
Yeah, we got you.
We just can't play, but just don't try to place us or try to place you in Appalachia because then we'll be guessing for.
No.
Actually, we'll still go with Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're right.
I think we're right.
Do you want to make that prediction?
I think I'll make that prediction.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
All right, it's locked in.
Yeah.
Okay, so during the Kaptainkristian episode, we'll link these two episodes together.
Okay.
to see if it pans off.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it. Check out Kaptainkristian on YouTube. 90s. It's his latest video. You watch this whole thing. I'm not gonna tell you to just watch one. And then The Runner on Shudder. I think The Runner on Shudder.
The Runner Shudder. Yeah.
I would recommend it.
I think so. It's short. It's sweet. It's got a lot of stuff that you would probably like if you're watching Shudder.
Yeah, it should be right up here. It's got 4 skulls out of.
Ooh.
I cannot trust the skull rating
No.
system. I never try, and I wish I could.
No.
I wish they could come up with something that was a little.
Yeah.
I don't know what rating system I trust. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I kind of trust Rotten Tomatoes, but I know everyone hates it. But
Yeah.
like, we had the How Low Can We Go series. Like, there is a little merit. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. We can't come up with a good rating. You know what? That we have to run off suggestions from good people.
Yeah.
And if you have good suggestions, you should give them to us in a form of a 5-star review on iTunes
Yes.
or a follow on Spotify. Apparently
Ooh.
they all got the follow buttons on there now, so click those. Make sure you follow us. Wherever you get your podcast. I think I saw Google Podcast was on there. We're on there. I think we've been
Okay.
on there for a while, but like I don't know anyone who ever uses Google Podcast.
I don't
I think like
know.
the stats still show it's like Apple dominant.
Yes.
Yes. Spotify might be trailing them, but wherever you get
Yeah.
them, follow us, give us those big reviews. And until next time, stay scary, watch a bunch of horror movies, and have fun in your own personal Silent Hills. Bye, guys.
May I have your attention, please?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I don't know what to feel anymore.
Horror. Something even more terrible than you.